Women
But the thing is,
women are a totally different breed now than they were 40 or 50 years ago. I would not be able to date a woman from like the 40s or 50s. I would be fucking gay. I'd be taking up the ass. They love that kind of abuse. Like, tell me I need to be more masculine. Tell me that I'm not good enough because I need to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Tell me I'm not good enough because I need to go to the gym.
basically, I'm starting to get this idea that it might have been a mistake for Western society to have pushed so hard to have women be empowered to the point where the majority of them have the jobs and the better education than most men. And I don't say this lightly. I've generally been in support of all that stuff, and I still am, but I'm beginning to have my doubts whether it was the right move for us to make. And I just want to know, like, what you think about that.
I mean, I don't think they should have like the majority, but if men are like falling behind, we should probably help them. I mean, I would agree with that, right?
Right, but like I guess the problem is that like deconstructing those gender roles to that extent seems to have been like a detriment to almost everyone involved, like men
Has it been?
especially. Um, for men at least, definitely, yeah.
Well, hold on.
I
You
would
can't say for everyone involved and then say, well, okay, we're for half of people.
Okay. Well, I mean, isn't there studies, I guess, that like show that women are also like more miserable in the current
There's-
era as well?
There's a lot of issues with happiness studies. I think there was, I don't know if it was an MBER paper or something else published that kind of goes over the problematic nature of like happiness studies. But I think we kind of take that for granted. Like people are just like, oh, we're like way less happy than we ever used to be. It's really hard to quantify that. And I don't actually know if that's actually a super true position that a lot of scientists feel like is like soundly backed in the data. I think it's a really hard thing to measure.
Well, I guess we don't have like hard data, but like I guess we could intuitively infer that like if men are more miserable, if we know that men are more miserable because of the gender roles being deconstructed, which they are, then
I don't even know if
it
that's
stands
true,
to reason.
but maybe.
I mean, I would say it's a pretty safe thing to say that they're more miserable.
I mean, the incels on the internet are, but I don't know if that's true of most men or all men. I truly don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I would, like, for the type of person that I am, I would not be able to date a woman from, like, the 40s or 50s. I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be bored. I would be fucking gay. I'd be taking up the ass because I wouldn't be able to deal with the quiet, weak, like, sad housewives that women were expected to be back then. So for somebody like me, like I think it's overwhelmingly positive. I don't know how many more men are like me versus how many men like harken back to the days of like quiet submissive women. I don't know. I truly don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I guess I can grant you your argument for the sake of like furthering the conversation if you want though. But yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but truly,
I would
don't
say
know. Okay.
I would say like the deconstructed gender roles for men currently have made them the vast majority at least a little bit more depressed.
Okay.
And like I think that if we could grant that, then we would probably also have to concede that it would go downstream and eventually affect women as well. Because if one of the sexes is miserable, like it will bleed into the other inevitably, right?
Probably true.
So like if that was the case, I would say that like it probably wasn't. We probably might need to dial it back a little bit because like men don't really have anything to offer women if they're not providers, right? And
Well,
like,
can't that change? Is that unchangeable? Women have changed so much over the past like 50 years. Why can't men change too? Women
the thing is,
women are a totally different breed now than they were 40 or 50 years ago. Men have to be able to do it. I refuse to believe men are so incapable they can't do it. Sorry, go ahead.
no, but here's the thing:
Yeah.
women obviously can change. I agree with that, and they did, and that's good for them. But like, men aren't, right? If
Well,
for the past
because I don't
50
think men
years,
have been
they
pushed.
haven't.
I don't think men have been pushed to. Women have got a massive social push in order to like be better and do better. And holy f, it worked. Obviously, better than we
Well,
thought.
I feel like men have had a massive social push to, like, for example, be less sexually active, and like that hasn't worked. If anything, that's only pushed things in the other direction. Men are now becoming more toxic and like are gravitating towards crazy psychos like Andrew Tate. So there's definitely a push for men to fight against their biology, but for them at least, it's not working, and it's working in the other direction.
I think the issue is men have been largely neglected because it was a majority power class and we just assumed they're fine, and then all the focus went to women. I also, unironically, and I'm going to be honest, I kind of worried about this. I think a lot of people underestimated women. I think the idea was that women are a little bit retarded, and they probably will never be good at things like math or engineering, so they really need big pushes in education so that we can at least pretend there's some parity there. I think that was probably an underlying belief for a lot of people for a long time, and it seems like that belief is completely fucking wrong, that women have way more capability than we thought, that the biological differences between our brains is nowhere near as big as we once thought it was, and now we kind of have to course correct, where it's like, okay, well, time to start treating women like retards because they're not retarded, and we need to do something to bring men back up to the level that we push women to. That's like the general feeling I have for things.
Yeah, I think for me, what I think it is that women, because like when you ask a woman like go into the when we ask women to go into the education market or the job market or whatever, or to go to school or whatever, you're in a sense, I guess you could say, asking them to overcome a biological hurdle. Like you're asking them to fight against their biology to an extent, I guess.
Are we?
When
you ask a woman to go into education, you're asking them to fight against their biology?
Well, I mean, like asking them to be a provider rather than kind of like motherly. I think to an extent, like that is kind of like fighting against biology. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing.
I don't buy that. I don't buy it. I don't think that's true.
Okay, would you say that like a man asking a man to not crave sex, like insanely craving sex, like would you say that that's not asking a man to fight against his biology?
I think that there are, I know in philosophy, I know they have better terms for this. I feel like you have, and I bet psychologists have good terms for this too. I think you have like, you've got like first order things, then you've got like second order things, and then you've got like third order things. So like a first order desire might be like food and oxygen, right? This is like, it's like brainstem shit. You need this or you're gonna fucking die. And then like a second order thing is gonna be stuff like the love of a parent or like orgasm, like sex. That's going to be like a thing that is like, you basically like, these are like fundamental to your existence. You can live without them, but oh my God, you're just going to suck them. And then you've got third order like behaviors or things like being a provider. And once you've gotten to this area, things are like a lot more amorphous, like different people can assume different roles, but I wouldn't put the need to have an orgasm or have sex on the same level as like the desire to be like nurturing or like a provider. I think that those are like a more abstracted away from, or less abstracted away from, more abstracted away from those more fundamental needs, right? Yeah, go ahead.
But isn't that kind of the problem, though, that like we're asking men to overcome a tier 2 biological hurdle, whereas for women, we're only asking them to overcome a tier 3 biological hurdle?
Well, wait, when are we asking men to overcome being horny? Or I don't understand what that means.
Okay. Well, I was referring to, sorry, I should clarify. You did say, I think in a, like when you were arguing against those garbage red pillars in a podcast or whatever, you said that one of them said that men are at the mercy of women who control the dating market. And you said, oh, guys just need to chill with it when it comes to sex and they can gain control of the dating market or whatever. Do you remember saying something like that?
If I'm trying my best to remember what you're referring to, it probably had to do with guys like ultra uber simping and overvaluing women or something. But this was this is like a pretty specific conversation with Myron. I don't know if that's like a genuine piece of advice I would give, because I don't think you're going to get guys to stop simping.
But yeah, that's kind of the problem, though. But like, if men are no longer going to be providing the vast majority of the time, be the ones who provide the vast majority of time, then like,
I mean, you can provide in other ways, can't you?
Well, what other ways can they provide?
I don't know, like companionship. If I'm hanging out with a girl, she's getting an experience that she can't have on her own. That is probably relatively unique to me. Like, can't most people think of it that way? Like, I hope that my wife likes me for more than the fact that I'm a fucking provider. Like, Jesus.
Well, I mean, like, you need to offer like a more specific prescription if you're going to endorse like an ideology. Like, I need to do that too. Like, if I'm endorsing like an ideology that empowers women and tells men to like stop being so crazy or whatever, like we need to offer a prescription. Like, instead of being a provider, you can be something else. You can be this, but we can't just say figure it out on your own.
I said things, but like people in the red pill shit don't want to hear it because of the truth hurts and it's hard. People want to hear like the fun shit, like the romantic stuff, like be masculine and fucking do all blah 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 blah, because that's fun and it's cool, it's empowering to hear that. But it's bullshit advice and it's not true. The reality is that you probably do need to be a little bit more feminized. You need to learn how to have a real conversation without being a big fucking baby about your feelings. You need to learn how to be empathetic and receptive to what a partner is telling you. Like, these are the skills that I think a lot of people are dramatically lacking, that are hurting them, even when it comes to fucking women. Like, these are skills, like, I'm probably at my most empathetic, my most respectful, and my most feminine when I'm getting laid the absolute most. Like, these are the skills, these are the communication and interpersonal skills that I'm employing to fuck people. But it's the exact opposite message that most guys want to hear, because it's not cool and it's not sexy, and they think they want to like pick up a boulder on their way to success or whatever. So like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to say. I'm not, like, generally when I'm in red pill space, I'm combating them. I'm not usually providing my side as much, because honest to God, it feels fucking hopeless. Like, most guys don't want to hear it. Most people want easy answers, and the red pill place is they've bullshitted themselves into thinking they're giving you hard truths, but in reality, it's exactly what you want to hear, right? Like, they love that kind of abuse. Like, tell me I need to be more masculine. Tell me that I'm not good enough because I need to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Tell me I'm not good enough because I need to go to the gym. It like plays into this male fucking power fantasy. That's all it is. Nobody wants to hear like, bro, you come off as like an aspy fucking schizoid when you talk to any woman. Work on your interpersonal skills. Oh, that's gay. I don't want to do that. Tell me more about how I need to go to the gym. Like,
but don't you think that's kind of like a testament to how like men will, because of their biology, always gravitate towards that kind of message?
No, I don't.
And then not only that.
Sorry, go ahead.
And then not only that, another point on top of that, don't you think that like, so would you then say that like, as long as a man is like super like charming and like is super socially skilled and engaging with their partner, like that's all they would need to offer instead? That's not all you need to offer.
Woman... but that's a big part of it. It's probably one of the most lacking parts of it right now. Men are not having an issue, a crisis of masculinity. They're having a crisis of femininity and maturity. That's the issue that men are experiencing right now.
So if those two things were fixed, you think women would go after men more again, or without them needing to necessarily?
I think that's the value that you have to provide for relationships to get a woman to want to be in a relationship with you. Women aren't hunting men for masculinity, right? The most masculine thing you used to be able to do was have a fucking paycheck, and women work now, or provide like dick, but like women have birth control. They can go fuck without like you having to marry them. So you have to have a better value add than just being super masculine. Like, nobody cares anymore, unless you're like a top 1%er masculine. If you're making like $1 million, or you're like the biggest, tallest, most Chad guy, then maybe. But for 99% of men, like, being more masculine is not going to cut it.
Don't you think it's kind of like an impossible biological hurdle to ask men to overcome? If like you see Andrew Tate come on, and like everyone, you see even young boys in the current era who like previously had no exposure to toxic masculinity, just instantly just being compelled to just be drawn to Andrew Tate and his message. Like, don't you think that's a testament to how like it's kind of impossible to ask men to not be toxic and sex loving and
no, of course
disgusting?
not. It's like Andrew Tate's message is appealing. It's like Mary Kay for men. Like, he sells cool shit. It's like astrology. Like that. Like, people are always going to be drawn to like easy fixes or hearing things that they want to hear. That's a human fundamental nature thing, not like a male or female fundamental nature thing. Everybody wants easy answers for success in life, and Red Pill gives you the easy answers. Just be more masculine, just be meaner, play into the male power fantasy as much as possible, and then you can have the entire fucking world at your fingertips. And it's easy too. What do you have to do? Fucking go to the gym and fucking be meaner to women and fucking, don't be a simp. And blah. It's like, oh, cool. It's like shit you want to hear anyway. Like,
so you're saying that because he's like wrapping the message in like a nice package, that's the real reason why boys and young men are like gravitating towards these toxic messages. It's not biology.
I mean, I think so. If you talk to like real women outside of these hyper crazy toxic spaces, like every woman will tell you that like a guy being like an Andrew Tate fan is like the biggest fucking red flag in the world. Like, like there aren't women that are flocking like, oh yeah, Andrew Tate fans. And I feel like that should tell you everything you need to know about like the purported effectiveness of that movement. You're just not finding all these women who are like, yeah, Andrew Tate fans, like red pill guys, they're the best. Nobody's saying that anywhere. Like, it's just yeah.
I agree that that's toxic as fuck, and like I don't blame women for not liking that, but I'm saying that like in the past it used to be the case where toxic, disgusting men like Andrew Tate were how they were, but it was women who were conditioned to want that instead by society.
Yeah, but the world has changed. We've evolved. We're at a different species now, right? It's not enough to just have a paycheck and now you own a woman because of that. You have to bring more to the table now, which is difficult. Men have to level up a lot because women have been steadily for the past like fucking 100 years.
The problem is that I don't know if men can fundamentally level up in the same way women can.
Why?
Like,
are men actually worse than women? Are we just destined to be retarded? How can women make so much? I don't think so. Come on.
I don't know. Like the fact that like even within the past 10 years after women like started gaining more and more control of like jobs and like education and stuff, men are still just sitting on their asses, just like incessantly simping for women and dating apps and shit, and that they are just at the mercy of women. Like I feel like that
Yeah, but
kind
that's
of is a
because
testament.
nobody's speaking to men right now, except for like the Andrew Tates of the world. The left is just like really fucking retarded when it comes to speaking to majority power classes. But hopefully they get better than that, you know? Because I'm here encouraging them to do better. But I don't know, truly. Like at some point, the left will figure out that they have to stop ignoring everybody that could be like an ally or a part of their movement. They'll figure it out eventually, either because this current left will disappear because they're not able to do it, and a new left will take over, or the current one will learn, like, fuck, like we're losing followers and nobody cares what we have to say, so we need to take these things more seriously.
I guess so. I don't know. It feels like asking women to work jobs like we did 50 years ago. It seemed like it was a seamless transition. Like there was no problems. They just did it no problem.
They didn't.
But
No,
then like
that's not true. They didn't do it. No problem. There's a lot of hurdles to women. Like nowadays, wait, how old are you? I'm just curious.
I'm in my early 20s.
Okay, that's awesome that you think that. It's awesome that you said that because I think it shows that we've come like really far. It does seem like women just get into jobs and they work and there's no fucking big deal about it. That's amazing that you think that. But that's not the history of women working in the United States is not that. There's a lot of hurdles that women had to jump through to be taken seriously in classes, to be taken seriously in work, to be taken seriously as leaders or managers, overcoming like blatant like fucking sexual harassment shit. There's a lot of shit that women had to go through to be successful in job sites today. It's been like decades of work, and now we like are starting to see very concretely that work paying off. And then as men, we're like, fuck, I think.
I see. So, I mean, I guess I'll concede that then. I don't know.
Also, I
do you
think
think
we've been speaking about this exclusively from the male side. If we go to the female side, this argument is insane. Like women obviously are enjoying the massive expansions of rights and freedoms that they've had. Are we gonna rip that away from them? Because
yeah,
it makes,
I was thinking was like we might have to dial it back just a little bit to like I don't know, maybe like just a couple decades like in the 90s and 2000s where like I guess women had rights, they were allowed to work, they were allowed to like vote and all that stuff but like the culture generally encouraged them to still be housewives. That way men could be pacified and not go crazy as they're doing now. I guess is like a middle ground, I guess you could say. But I don't know. I guess maybe the real solution is to just tell men to fix their shit, but I don't know if that's gonna work.
sure.